Hi, good afternoon. I'm Kathy Heatherly. I'm a national volunteer for my sorority and for the National Panhellenic Conference. I currently serve as the chairman of the Alumni Panhellenics Committee, which is in charge of all the Alumni Panhellenics across the country. I hail from a suburb outside of Chicago in Naperville. I am also a proud parent of a daughter who graduated from Baylor University, who's also a member of a sorority and was an athletic member as well. So I'm very excited to be with all of you today.
Thank you, Kathy. And my name is Julie Johnson. I serve as chairman of the Panhellenics committees for the National Panhellenic Conference, which I realize in talking to you now, this all sounds very Greek and no pun intended there, but we'll explain that. So a Panhellenic is an organization of different sororities, whether that be in a college situation, of which we have 654 of them across North America, or an alumni situation where those are primarily made up of women that have graduated from college and in local communities in the country. And Kathy, tell us what our current number is on Alumni Panhellenics.
We have 200.
200-ish Alumni Panhellenics. And so that's what my function is. So we have College Panhellenics, Alumni Panhellenics, and they roll up into the overall Panhellenics Committee. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I am from the Chicago area originally, but I have lived in North Carolina for a number of years now, so it really is more of my home. And I, too, have a daughter who is an undergraduate right now at The Ohio State University and pledged a sorority this last winter. So Kathy and I not only have our experience as volunteers for our organizations and with the conference, but also having had daughters that have gone through recruitment within the last couple of years. So we really thank you for your interest today in being a part of this and learning more about sorority recruitment. I think back many, many years ago, before any of you were ever born, when I, too, started college and thinking about recruitment and what was that all about and what did it mean to be in a sorority, because it was a very different thing, different experience, that's for sure. And Caitlin, I'm having a hard time advancing my slide here. So if you can do that for me, I'd appreciate it. There we go. So anyway, the idea about joining a sorority and what was that all about, and didn't know much about what it meant to be Greek when people would say be Greek or be a sorority girl, be part of that process, what was involved with that. And so it was very much a learning experience for me. I happened to have a boss at the time who was a member of a fraternity, and I remember him showing me his newsletter that had come in the mail, and he goes, you know, you might want to think about being part of a sorority on campus. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to meet people and get involved, and you know, it would really be a good experience, I think, for you. So I kind of tucked that away and didn't think much about it until I got to campus, and you know, then certainly, obviously, life changed very much about that. But really, what is a sorority about? You know, really, what does that mean to be in a sorority? To really think about historically about sororities, they began forming in the mid-1800s, and they were two groups that founded down at Wesleyan College. And if you think back, you may not know this, but in higher education at the time, it was very unusual for women to be going to college, to even have that opportunity to be a part of getting a degree. Most women who went to school went there for three purposes. They could be a teacher, they could be a nurse, or they could go and get their MRS degree, and that's really what college was all about. Or it was kind of a finishing school for people. But they realized that being in a very much, most of those women that went to schools where there were male students, it was very much a male-dominated environment. You know, at the time, socially and culturally, women didn't have the ability to vote. They didn't have a say. They couldn't own property. And so they very much were the possession, or you know, the possession of the male, or their father and or their husband. And so they found the need to kind of get together and support one another. And so that's really what kind of born of that is that, you know, they were in these male-dominated environments, and realizing that being part of a sorority and having that support group was really, really important for that. The organizations, first and foremost, focused on academic success and supporting each other on campus to provide support for one another, but to help them academically. Because, again, at that time, men thought, or the belief was that if women went to school and studied, that it would hurt their reproductive organs, if you could believe that. So over time, you know, sororities have continued to use these themes of academic support. We were definitely, and we still remain, values-based organizations, and so all of us have creeds and founding principles that are very, I would say, very pure in thought in terms of striving to be, you know, the best woman that you can become, to be very, you know, be a woman of integrity and ethics, to do well for other people, to be a really good student. So all those are very important. And so, again, we have varying creeds and mottos that kind of speak to that. But overall, you know, again, we strive to provide our members with friendship, opportunities for personal development, and also fun. But definitely are social organizations and have fun. The advantage of being a member of a National Panhellenic Conference is the opportunity for lifetime sisterhood. And once you are initiated into an organization, you have lifetime membership in that organization. So you pledge something as possibly a freshman or a sophomore in college, it stays with you for the rest of your life, as evidenced by Kathy and myself, and even the folks in our NPC office that are working. They not only work for our organization, but also volunteer for their own member organizations as well. So the opportunity for that. Why is it important to join a sorority? I think people will, if you ask a sorority woman, why she joined, what was involved with that, you'll come up with many different answers, but I think these are probably what we would identify as the major opportunities for joining. First of all, of course, we fall into 6 program areas, but the first one is personal development, which offers a variety of opportunities and civic engagement for your organization. So how you can become a better student, a better woman, a better leader, better opportunity to prepare yourself for career in your life. Second would be academic excellence is the goal of all of our organizations, striving to perform better and do well in school. You will find on most campuses, I would say the majority of our campuses, sorority organizations or sorority chapters, their averages exceed the all-women's average. They are the highest grade point averages in the college. And so sometimes that goes contrary to what you may see in the media, but overall academic success and academic support is very, very important. So you'll see that nurtured throughout the program. Certainly the opportunities I mentioned before for developing lifelong friendships are really important. So you work with women within your own chapter. You will have advisors who are alumni of the organization that work with your chapter. They too may have come from that campus. They may have come from other campuses, but that's an opportunity for you to develop. I know Kathy and I can both say we have moved around in our lives and are married, since we've been married in different communities, and every chance you move to a new city, it's an opportunity to connect with members of your organization, whether that be working with a local chapter or working with on a philanthropic project, or even just working socially within an alumni chapter or alumni association. So there's lots of opportunity for lifetime and the development of that. As I mentioned before, we are social organizations, and so there are opportunities for social experiences as well as social skill development, and that includes date parties and date functions, but it also includes etiquette and manners and learning how to present yourself, both for yourself in social situations but also in the work environment. Networking opportunities also are very incredible for belonging within a sorority, whether that be for a career or something within your community, finding support to possibly running for the school board or for elected office. But you have those opportunities to network with other women, both whether that be within your own member organization or either panhellenically. And as we all know, especially as a woman, that's very, very important to have those opportunities and to kind of gain those edges. Some of the new books that have been out lately, you think about the new books like Leading In, and there's another one called Wavemaker. Both of those were written, have a lot of, I would say, connections back to sorority membership and the opportunities for us to do that. And then our last possibility, or last what we call a major opportunity about joining a sorority, is civic engagement. Certainly we stay involved with our communities through philanthropic work and through service, taking the lead, and certainly the skills that you learn within your chapter are skills that can take you both to the boardroom, to a PTA meeting, to a city council meeting, to the U.S. Senate. And so those are all skills very important to stay engaged and stay involved in your community. Okay. Kathy, if you'd like to talk a little bit, I'm sorry, we have types of sororities here. There are different types of sororities that are going on, and I think depending on which campus and where you go through recruitment, you will see different types of organizations. But these are the different type, what we call governing councils, or different kinds of sororities that are out there. The first are National Panhellenic Conference, which is what we're going to talk about primarily today, and we are the organization of the 26 what we would call social organizations, social sororities like that. The second group is the National Panhellenic Conference, or NPHC. Those groups are primarily for historically black or African American fraternities and sororities. Sometimes you'll hear them referred to as the Divine Nine. And again, please understand that you don't have to, you can join any one of these councils, but these are the different types of councils that are out there. The next one is the National Association of Latino Fraternal Organizations, or NALFO. And again, these are for Latino and Latin-based fraternities and sororities. The next is NAPA, or the National Asian Pacific Islander American group for organizations that are serving the Asian and Pacific Islander community. and then the National Multicultural Greek Council, which is a council of coalition of multicultural Greek letter organizations. Depending upon the size of campus that you're going to, some of you will see all of these councils on your campus. You may only see one or two of these councils on your campus. And so it will vary depending upon where you go to school and the size of the Greek system with that. There are also groups what we call local sororities, and those are sororities that do not, they may function like a regular, like an NPC sorority or like an NPHC group. However, they are only germane just to that campus. They only have a chapter there, and hence why they're called locals. And so they may be an associate member of one of the governing councils up there, and they function very much like the social organizations. However, they are just one chapter organizations. And again, you may see them on your campus. You may not see them on your campus. You also may see some groups that are sororities that are affiliated primarily with your academic major. So there are groups within, I would say, like music, engineering, pharmacy, agriculture. You'll see that they have some organizations. They are national. However, that they're not part of one of these conferences, but they are more based in terms of profession and academic major with that. And now we'll turn it over to Kathy to talk a little bit about NPC sororities and our badges.
Thanks, Julie. As you can see on the screen is the beautiful picture of 26 badges from all the 26 member groups that make up the National Panhellenic Conference. Each one of these badges represents each organization, and behind those badges represent their values, about their history and their founding, and you learn more about that as you, if you become a member of that organization, more about them, and then once you're initiated, you'll be able to proudly wear these badges throughout your lifetime as a member. You know, these 26 member groups represent chapters from all, as Julie mentioned earlier, 650 college campuses. We're very excited that we have almost 300,000 undergraduate members across the country. We have alumni that represent more than 3,000 alumni associations and chapters across the world. NPC sororities are on campuses, all different types of campus, private, public, large, small. So there's a good representation of our member groups at all types of college campuses. As Julie mentioned earlier, a college Panhellenic is that local governing body that represents the NPC groups on that campus. Their purpose is really to foster the interfraternal relationships among the groups, the NPC groups. They uphold the policies of NPC, and it's important that they also, you know, maintain the recruitment process on that campus. So this is a picture of all the badges for the 26 groups. Now we're going to talk about some of the terms that you may be hearing out there, or some what we consider sorority vocabulary. So if we're going to advance that slide, sorry about that. So now we're going to do a little bit of interactive activity. I want you to look at these terminology, become familiar with them. I want you to take a few minutes to think about the answers for these terms. And I'll give you a few minutes because you may want to, you know, jot some notes down or think about the answers, and then we'll go through them because you'll be hearing these terms a lot when you go through recruitment on a college campus. Okay, first we're going to talk about new member, because most of you on the call today are what we call potential new member. And so once you accept a bid from a sorority, you become a new member. So the answer to that is 3. You become a new member after accepting a bid from a sorority. Then we'll go down to another term you hear a lot of on college campuses. It's called continuous open bidding, which we call COB. It allows the NPC sororities on campus who did not reach total and quota to continue to offer bids. Now, there's some terms here that you're not familiar with, quota and total. And you hear quota a lot during formal recruitment or the primary recruitment on a college campus. And basically, that's the number of women that are allowed to take during that recruitment period. So you'll hear the name quota a lot. And then total is the total allowed on that college campus set by the college Panhellenic. So continuous open bidding allows all those chapters who did not reach quota or total during recruitment to offer bids to potential new members. And then we come down to initiation. Really, initiation is such a special time for each NPC sorority, and it's really the end of your time as a new member. Each NPC sorority really has their own tradition and unique ceremony in which you will participate. And you become a lifelong member. You're kind of here to talk about ritual, and that's the very special time that you will go through and become a lifelong member of the sorority you choose to pledge. The badges that I showed earlier, that's when you get your sorority badge, is during the initiation process. And then, of course, bid. Bid is the formal invitation to join a sorority, and that's the exciting part. That's where you find out where you match during the recruitment process. And then we have recruitment counselor. Now, recruitment counselor is going to be a really special person, and she's going to help you through the recruitment process. She's a sorority woman. She's been chosen to be a recruitment guide or counselor. She's disassociated from her sorority, so you won't know which group she represents, but she's really your lifeline during formal recruitment. She's there to answer your questions. She's there to guide you through the recruitment process. And there may be a time that you may get lost on campus going from one chapter house to another, and she'll be the person you call to find your way. So the recruitment counselor plays a really important role in the recruitment process. And there's a lot more terms, sorority vocabulary, that you'll find on the SororityLife website. And a lot of others that we can't go through today due to time on the webinar. So one of the most important things that you're going to do in the next few weeks, especially for those campuses that are going through fall formal recruitment, is to register. And hopefully many of you have been on the college Panhellenic websites so that you may register. The important thing for you to know is that you register through your local college Panhellenic. Now visit the website, just like we talked about, and registration and cost will vary from campus to campus. So make sure you've been on the website. There will always be a link and that you can register and get signed up. The cost for participating in recruitment covers the food, the transportation, and other items you will need to participate. Be sure that you make the noted deadline on the calendar.
And again, I think that's a really good point. If I interrupt you here, Kathy, those recruitment deadlines are really, really important. In fact, I know some campuses, their recruitment deadlines were yesterday. They closed on July 15th. So make sure that you're aware of that. Some campuses allow women to register late, but it costs additional money, and some campuses are just closed. They'll say, no, absolutely not. If you miss the deadline, you miss the deadline. So very, very important. If you're at all interested, I would encourage you, even if you're still thinking about it or on the fence, go ahead and get registered so that you do not miss that recruitment deadline. A very important thing with that.
Thanks, Julie, for bringing that.
That's just because I know we had some cases with the recruitment's already closing, and people are in a panic about that this morning, so that's why I knew about that. Let's talk a little bit about attire and what to wear for recruitment. And I know myself, I think back, and Kathy, maybe even you too, when you went through recruitment, thinking about what that was like and what that experience is. I think the most important thing about going through recruitment is that you need to be comfortable, both with yourself and also with what you're wearing. Some campuses, I think that perception is out there that you have to go out and buy a new wardrobe, you have to have a certain kind of dress, you have to wear a certain kind of short, and I would really encourage you to say that is not necessarily the case. Again, Kathy pointed to the College Panhellenic websites where you would register for recruitment. Oftentimes on those websites there's information about what to wear for recruitment. And so they'll have pictures each day. And usually in recruitment, and this varies by campus, but the majority of campuses, recruitment is over a 4 or 5 day period, and it works in what we call rounds. So the first round is a very casual round. Again, for those campuses that recruit in August, it's hot and it's humid, and air conditioning works, but not when you're trying to put a lot of bodies into a small space. And so encourage you to be whatever you've got on that you're comfortable in. As the week progresses, things get a little bit dressier, and so you may have something very casual like some shorts or a skirt or something very easy the first day, and then maybe the next day could be a dress or a skirt, and then, and again, probably the same thing for the third round. And usually the fourth round, what we call the preference round, tends to be a little bit dressier. But again, very important that you're mindful of the weather. So those of you that recruit in August, down in Louisiana, it is going to be extremely hot and humid, so know that. Those of you that recruit in Maine, not so much. Those women that go through the recruitment period in January need to make sure that you're warm, because you will stand outside waiting to get started to go into your event, and it can be cold out there, so really important. A mistake I did not learn until it was too late is it's very important that you wear comfortable shoes, or if you're wearing new shoes, that you break them in ahead of time. So make sure that you're going to be, they're long days, you're going to be on your feet, and so you're wearing something very comfortable. Wearing 5-inch heels, probably not the smartest thing to do, because you've got to walk across campus and there's a distance with that. Not every campus provides transportation or buses or a shuttle service, so very important that you do that. And as I mentioned before, check the recruitment handbook or guide or the website. So again, website is very common. Oftentimes once you register, you'll get a recruitment handbook or a guide in the mail, an actual hard physical copy. And again, there will be pictures of suggestions about what it looks like to wear. Also, asking your recruitment counselor is a good idea. She can tell you and help you with those questions, and again, we'll go over that information for you. But it's really important, again, for you to be comfortable, to be yourself, and that that you really, the true self of you really comes out in that process. Okay, and let's move on to our next slide then, about what to expect during recruitment and what that is about. I talked a little bit about that there is a series of parties that will go through the process that you'll work through. Kathy mentioned on an earlier slide recruitment counselors, and those women are available to you to answer your questions. You'll be put into what we call recruitment groups or clusters, and they'll be, and again, depending on the campus, there could be 10 up to 50 people in a group. You could have 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 recruitment counselors that work with your group. Again, that varies by campus, but those women are there. They are there panhellenically. They're not there to talk about their affiliation or experiences that they're having within their own sorority, but to really help guide you through the process and answer your questions that you may have about that. So that's what your recruitment counselor is. You'll start with her and keep her throughout the recruitment process. And so it's a nice way to kind of introduce yourself into the sorority system. All recruitment, or most recruitments, always start out with an orientation session, and that is at the very beginning, usually the first night or possibly the morning of when the first round of events begin. And then again, that is to provide you some basic, more information about what to expect during your recruitment experience, what the days will look like, what is going to be asked from you in terms of filling out paperwork and determining how to go on to the next rounds. And so that orientation session is critical that you attend. They'll explain a lot of information. A lot of recruitments, you'll get a T-shirt or a bag or something throughout that process, and all the goodies are passed on that night. So really important, that orientation session is a good time. And it's also a good time for you to meet other people that are in your recruitment group and have that opportunity to get to know people, because you'll be spending a lot of time with them. Conversation is critical throughout recruitment. And again, I talked about before about being comfortable with yourself, wear something comfortable, but also that you're comfortable with yourself. So conversation is critical, because during the recruitment process, you're trying to decide which sorority that you have the best fit with and where you're going to fit in. And likewise, they're trying to interview you, trying to see if you're going to be a good fit for their organization. So it's very important that you come prepared, I guess, with some questions. What are things that you want to know? I would encourage you to look at the websites. Again, on your College Panhellenic website, as well as the recruitment guide you may receive, you'll have website links on there, and so that will tell you a little bit more about the organization. So a group may have a philanthropy on a certain area of interest, and so you may want to ask more questions about that. Or maybe you're very interested in philanthropy overall, to learn about what's involved there, or what kind of sisterhood activities the chapter engages in, what types of opportunities are there for leadership in the chapter, talk about what their academic standards are and what their requirements are. So all very important things for you to go along with that. So conversation, again, two-way street, important for you to ask questions as well as answer questions, important for you to be yourself, but to make sure that you are also understanding that it's an opportunity for you to find what is going to be the best fit for you. During your parties, you're going to see a lot of different things. You may, they'll sing some songs, possibly do chants, there may be skits, videos, there'll be entertainment. not so much as what there used to be in the old days, but there'll be some kind of opportunities throughout the process for you. And again, as you work through the recruitment process, each day gets a little bit more serious. Just like the parties, for the most part, get smaller too. There are fewer people coming back to each round of recruitment, so it's an opportunity for you to have more in-depth conversations. And the party lengths also get a little bit longer, so it's an opportunity for you to meet more people, figure out what's going on, determine whether or not you feel that this is a good fit for you, and also for them to determine it's a good fit for them. And throughout the process, you'll be making some selections. You'll determining, because you can't go back to every group all the time. It's kind of a weeding out process, kind of like what you went through with college. You started out probably applied to a number of campuses, and then you went on some campus visits, or you did some research on the computer, and then you continued to narrow down your search until you found the one school that you decided to matriculate with. Recruitment is the same process. You'll be making selections and be asked throughout the entire recruitment experience to be making some selections and kind of honing down where it is that you're going to find or where you think the most natural fit is going to be for you. So that's a little bit about what to expect during the recruitment process. And then Kathy, let's talk a little bit about some recruitment tips.
Yeah. Isn't Julie great? She brings it all together for you. We want you to, first of all, to enjoy yourself during recruitment. And most importantly, we want you to be yourself. And as Julie talked about, you're going to have a lot of conversations during recruitment. You're going to meet a lot of different types of people. There are going to be people that you get along with, and some people you don't. So we want you to be polite to everyone. That's one of the positive things about going through recruitment, is that you get to meet all different types of people. And as you're going through the process of the groups that you like, and you'll start to ask questions, and you'll get to know more about them, and then you'll get to see where you fit in, because that's important. There's a place for everyone. Smile, enjoy yourself. Again, maybe if you feel good in your clothes and you feel good and your shoes are comfortable, you'll have a great experience throughout the day. And I think the things that you'll see, the skits, the songs, meeting the women, you can't help but smile. So smile and enjoy yourself. It's a quick-paced environment. Recruitment is fast, and there's a lot of things going on. But we think that if you just keep an open mind, ask good questions, take notes after you go through recruitment. Each round in your recruitment book that they give you, you'll have an opportunity to take notes. Try to be aware of what just happened in the group, and jot down notes like a song or a skit or something that reminds you of that chapter. Because after a while, all the letters start to run together, and you may not remember, but you may remember the girl you talked to. You might write something nice. We had a great conversation about summer vacation, so take good notes. I know this will sound kind of funny because you're going through recruitment, but we do want you to get some rest. So after a long day of recruitment, try really hard to get some good sleep, because the next day you have another whole round. And again, have options in your clothing. I'm going to kind of go back to what Julie talked about, because maybe that the shoes that you wore the day before, maybe because your feet are going to be sore and everything else, have options to maybe change an outfit or whatever to make you comfortable the second day, or you realize that it's really hot in the chapter houses. So just have options open, ask questions, be yourself, and enjoy the process, because really it's all about making new friends and finding your home away from home. So we're going to talk about some additional resources. Obviously, on this webinar, we can't cover all the things that you're going to experience during recruitment, because it varies from campus to campus. And there's a lot of resources out there that you can find additional information, but these are the ones that we encourage you to find out additional things, especially TheSororityLife.com. Hopefully, this is where you learned about this webinar, that you've been on this fabulous website, and it is chock full of information, frequently asked questions. It's got a place where you can ask questions to a sorority member and get feedback. It has just tips for you for recruitment. You can there's a link to go to the NPC Pinterest page, so you can find out what to wear. So please do check out SororityLife.com, because I think that you'll find it's a wealth of information. It'll also go over things like references and recommendations and some things that we are not able to cover on this webinar. And then, like Julie, being a parent, and especially when I went to school, I wish we'd had this resource, because my mom was not in a sorority, so I really had no one no information to find out about it. So I really didn't know about sororities growing up. So luckily, we have a resource now, sororityparents.com, where you can get real-life information from current parents and learn about their experience and what their daughters have experienced. So I encourage your parents, for you to encourage your family and your parents to check out that website if they have questions. And then we talked a lot about that during the webinar about the College Panhellenic website, which will be a valuable resource for you to find out what's the recruitment like on that campus, because it'll vary from going to Alabama, from going to a school in Illinois, for North Carolina. Each campus is different, public, private, large, small. So that College Panhellenic website will give you the tips for their recruitment process, registration deadlines. It'll give you the chapters are on that campus. It'll give you the links to the local chapter websites as well as the international and national websites for the groups. So not only do we encourage you to go to the College Panhellenic website, check out the local chapter websites from the chapters that are on the campus that you're going to be attending. And then we encourage you, all 26 groups have national websites, and that's where you're going to find out information about the national organizations, their history, their values, what they stand for, and as Julie mentioned earlier, really historically what they believe in, and you'll find that you'll see similar themes throughout all the 26 groups because we're founded on very similar principles. And those websites will provide you with additional information. So those are 4 really great resources. And if you haven't already registered, because as Julie mentioned, some of those deadlines have passed, and for those of you who are having deferred recruitment, or what we call in January, you'll have plenty of time to check out all these websites. Okay, now it's time for questions. I know we've given you a lot of information in a short amount of time, but we really want you to feel comfortable in asking questions, and we want to be here to answer those.
Yes, that is right. We're going to open up the floor for some questions right now. And when I say open up the floor, we're going to bring out some of the questions that were asked through the chat box that we've been using during the program. So if you still have questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to still enter those into your chat box. Julie and Kathy, we have a question from Jenny. Jenny asked, she's going to be going through continuous open bidding this fall as a sophomore, and she's looking for some advice about going through recruitment when she's not a first-year student, when she's not a freshman. What would you tell her?
That's a really good question. And again, I think that varies by campus. And I'm going to make the assumption that you're returning to the same campus, and so that may be the same or that may be different. But if you're coming back to campus and going through the continuous open bidding process, I would encourage you to hopefully use some of the connections with people that you've already met on campus before. So if someone was in the class, or somebody was in your dorm last year, or somebody maybe that you worked with on campus, or ate with in the dining hall or something like that, that's a kind of a natural connection there. The Panhellenic office may also have some registration information, and so they'll pass your name on to those groups that are participating in open recruitment at that time, so that would be a good way to do that. It will be not as formal as what you'll see go through the primary recruitment process. It'll be an opportunity to be more casual, maybe less events, more smaller events where instead of meeting with an entire chapter, you may meet with maybe 4 or 5 of them. You may go to a group dinner. So it'll be a little bit more casual. But I think it's an opportunity to get to know people on a more one-on-one basis, especially as a returning student. That's a great opportunity, and I would encourage you to capitalize on some of those relationships or friendships that you may have made the last year or prior years on campus to help you with that process.
Excellent, thank you. We have another question, and this question is from Mary, and Mary asks, what kind of questions are they going to ask you during recruitment? So what kind of questions can potential new members expect to be asked during the recruitment process?
Kathy, you can answer this, but I'm going to make a joke first. Everybody's going to ask you your name and your major and where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get used to that.
Yes, Julie, you're so correct. Those are probably the, and you're going to get asked that at every chapter. So just be prepared because they have to get to know you. They're going to ask about your family life, what you did over the summer. In addition to the major, they may go into, you may have a conversation about different professors, especially if it's a major that maybe this young woman is also in, or she may know about some classes. You'll talk about what it's like the first semester at your campus. They're going to talk about what they do as a chapter on their campus, some of the events that they're involved in. They're going to ask questions. They're going to try to probe you to find out more about you. And as they tell you more about their organization, you'll start to ask questions, and you see if that's a good fit. They're also going to ask you, as you get more serious, things that mean a lot to you as you get more serious in conversation. In the beginning, as Julie talked about earlier, the conversation, because the time frame doesn't allow you to get into real in-depth. In the beginning, it's very light, casual conversation, just like when you're at an event or at any type of social situation, like meeting somebody for the first time, like meeting somebody in class. You get to know them. They ask you about yourself. So you're going to get a lot of open-ended questions, and so they can get to know you. So feel free to ask questions of them and get to know them. Ask about the sisters. Ask about how they like, not just about the social events and philanthropy, but what do they do together outside of the chapter? Where do they hang out? You're going to get a variety of questions through that. And just, there's nothing that you can't answer about yourself. And so just be comfortable and answer and ask them about what they do and about their organization and why they pledged and what makes them choose that group and why they wanted to be a part of that. Julie, do you have some other suggestions?
I think they'll also will ask you, Caitlin, I'm sorry, we're having a tremendous amount of feedback on this.
Oh, you're coming through clear for us. I think that we're
okay,
still
good.
going smooth.
Maybe it's just Kathy and I that got a lot of echo here. I would say a lot about your interests. I would say your past experiences in high school, whether that were in school or maybe with your church or synagogue or religious organization, within your community, what you want to do on college, where your academic major, what your career goals are. So it will be a lot about you, why you want to go through recruitment, why you want to be in a sorority. Have those answers figured out also, because people will ask you those questions all the time. What is it that you're looking for?
Okay, the next question, which we've actually gotten a few times from a few different ladies, they're asking about letters of recommendation or letters of reference. What kind of information can you share with them about if they're important, how they should go about getting them, and if they need to provide those to the Panhellenic?
Kathy, you want to handle that?
Okay, I'll take that question. First of all, letters of recommendation or support are given by an alumna member of a sorority it's basically an introduction to their sorority about you. Now, not all national organizations require them, and some campuses use them more than other campuses. For example, in the southern chapters tend to use them more so, and this is just a generic statement, than they may use them on the east or in the Midwest. They seem to have a greater importance. It does not guarantee you a place in that chapter. It's really an introduction to you. It's that alumnus way of saying, hey, I know this person is special. I want you to look at her. She's got this activities, this grade point average. I think she would make a great member of our sorority. Now, one of the services the Alumni Panhellenics do provide is women who are willing to write letters of recommendation or support. Now, not all women we don't have enough Alumni Panhellenics to write letters of recommendation and support. So the things that we encourage you to do on the Sorority Life website, we do have a place where you can go and have links to each of the 26 national sororities and a person that you can contact for the sororities on the campus that you're attending so that they may provide an alumna who can write a recommendation. Now, I say this in the same token that I encourage you to ask every woman that you know, teacher, someone that you go to church with, someone that you work with, some of your guy friends, that they may know women that are members of a sorority who may be willing to write you a letter of recommendation, that you will ask that person to write you a letter, and it is that alumna's responsibility to know their sorority's policy on that. All national groups have a form that they have to fill out, and most of the time when you ask them, they'll write a letter for you of support and recommendation. Again, I want to emphasize that that is just an introduction chapter. It doesn't guarantee a bid or a place in that chapter, but I encourage you to first ask those that you know. And then if you can't find a letter from the groups on your campus, first of all, know the groups on your campus. So if you have 7 groups on campus, know the names of them, and try to find women that you already know that are members of that sorority. And it could be women that graduated from your high school, and they have graduated from that university, or they may be able, as a undergraduate, be able to write you a letter of support. So I say that in the sense that hopefully you'll be able to find, if you can't find somebody that you know, sorry, I got kind of like lost my train of thought there. Please go to the link on the SororityLife.com website, and it'll have a contact person for each of the groups so that you may get a letter of recommendation or support for that chapter on the campus. Julie, you want to follow up with anything with that? Or?
That's right. As Kathy pointed out, very important for you to understand, there are different values on different campuses for them, and I'm sorry we can't give an answer like if you go to this campus, you need to do this. But I would follow check out your Panhellenic and see what they say. Again, most groups, I would say most of the NPC groups, they are not required anymore. Or if they are required and they're very interested in you, they will find somebody there locally to write one for you. So I wouldn't totally stress about it. I think I would do your job as best you could with it. Again, use the resources. SororityLife.com has some information to help you with that, as does your college Panhellenic that can help you secure those for those that you're going to need. But ultimately, it's the responsibility of the group to get the rec on you, not you to get the recommendation or letter of support in on yourself. And as Kathy said, that is not a guaranteed for an invitation for membership or anything else. It is just a letter of introduction.
Right. I do also, we're talking about references. Also, there's some of you may be legacies, and a legacy it means something different for every sorority. But if my daughter was a legacy to my sorority, and same way with Julie with her daughter, but that's a different type of form for your mom or your aunt, and every sorority designates legacies differently. It could be a stepmom, that makes you a grandmother, that makes you a legacy. So make sure that that's not the same thing as a reference or a support, but also that does also not guarantee that you automatically get a bid to your moms or your grandmothers or your sisters or your aunt's sorority either, just because you're a legacy. So I don't know if that's going to come up in a question, but
Kathy, if I can answer that, I think that there's a good point to add to that is that, if you do have relatives that were members of a sorority, most of those questions that most of you will find on your registration form, that question, it'll ask for any family members that were members of a sorority. And so I would encourage you to list that down. So if your mom was a member of a sorority, maybe your sister's in a different one, maybe you had an aunt in another place, maybe your grandma, and usually it's a blood relative. It isn't somebody that was like, oh, my next door neighbor, my babysitter. Those don't really count. But I would say a blood relative, so your mother, stepmother, grandmother, an aunt, or a sister would be those relationships I would include. And same thing if you had if your father or your brother were members of the groups, groups indicate those as well. That indicates that you have a understanding of Greek membership, and for some organizations, that's information that they like to know. So I would encourage you to list that information down on your registration form if you have it.
Thank you both. We have another great question. We have a question from Shannon, and she asks, what kind of activities do we encounter during the year?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Julie, I'll let you answer that one.
Well, I guess first and foremost, I want to say that we are a social organization, so I'm sure that you will see a wide variety of social activities, and those probably would include some kind of date functions, and there may be like one per term, or sometimes there's an initiation formal or a senior formal or something like that. So I would say there'd be some date parties involved. There'd be some sisterhood functions involved where you just would have events within your chapter, movie nights, roller skating, I don't know, pizza fest, a favorite TV show or something like that. So that would be activities. Some campuses, there are all Greek functions that happen on campus, like a Greek sing or a dance contest or a step show or a talent night or something like that, and so some of the chapter members may participate in that, and the rest of the chapter goes on to support their organization, and a lot of times that's built up within the community. Most communities have what we call a Greek week, where all the fraternities and sororities on campus come together and do a service project and some kind of, I don't know, social activities. It could be some kind of competition, games, or athletic events that are involved. So you'll see those types of activities. All of our sororities are involved in some kind of philanthropic activity, not only for their own organization, but as well for other. They support other organizations on campus, so there'll be a lot of opportunity for service. I think fun things, going to football games, basketball games, hockey games, baseball, whatever the sport du jour is on your campus, both men and women's, that you'll see that. So those are activities. Recruitment preparation. In recruitment are big activities, little new member activities, and you get your big sister, so you'll see activities with that. And again, we'll vary on the campus. Some campuses are very socially organized and have a lot going on. Some campuses, not so much, and again, we'll kind of vary. I think it's important for you, not all events are mandatory, and that's one thing that you're going to have to determine yourself. What are events that I have to go to? What are events that I don't have to go to? I think for me, one of the best things I learned in my sorority was time management. I remember the very first chapter meeting I went to, and I was overwhelmed. And I remember them saying, like, you need to go buy this planner at the bookstore and get this down. And it really taught me, knowing if I had a meeting that night from 7 to 8 and I had a test the next day, I knew I needed to do my studying ahead of time and get ready, or planned for my study break during that time to allow me to go to the chapter facility and have our meeting and get back. So it's a wonderful opportunity to teach you some time management. I think going to college is a very unusual experience because you realize how much time you've got. Where before, when you were at home and in high school, your days were very much programmed. Between school, you had to go to school during certain hours, and you may have had after-school activities and family activities and a job or something like that. In college, it's very different. You may only have a class 3 times a week, and so there's a lot of free time. And learning how to balance yourself and manage yourself is very important. And membership in a sorority, I think, really helps with that. So those are some of the activities, and believe me, that is not all-inclusive. There's a lot of other things that go on. You can, if you're a leader or an officer, you'll spend more time than those that are not. Again, we have members that are involved in athletic teams on campus, music organizations, drama and theater. They work a lot of our, I shouldn't say the most, but I would say a large percentage of our members work and have part-time jobs. So that's just kind of part of the experience. And so it's learning how to juggle all that and still have a positive experience.
Great. Okay, our next question.
Sounds overwhelming.
It's a very busy activity, but worthwhile. Our next question comes from Trina, and a couple other people also asked the same question. Trina was asking about a GPA requirement and how much your grade point average comes into play, whether it's your high school GPA or your college GPA. Again, these are coming from a few different people and a few different questions about GPA in general when you start recruitment.
I'll take that one. I mean, academics are extremely important to all sororities, and the main reason why you go to college. Each sorority has their own GPA that they set, and it varies from campus to campus. Most of them will have a national GPA, but most of the college campuses set an additional GPA to their chapters. If you're on a deferred recruitment campus, they're going to go off your college GPA from the fall semester. So it's important that you maintain good grades. I think it's very important to us. Now, the college Panhellenics should not be setting a requirement for the GPAs out there. So each individual chapter will set their own GPA. So it varies from campus to campus. So in most of those, we'll let you know in the recruitment guide that you will get. It'll publish what their GPA requirement is for their local chapter. But academics are important, and one of the things you go to school for is to get good grades, and your parents are paying for it, so they appreciate it too. But academics are very important. It's one of the tenets of all the national groups, and so hopefully that you're coming into college and with a good GPA, and so it's an important part. It's just one part of overall if they're looking at you with your leadership, your activities from high school, especially even the first semester of college. What did you get involved in your first semester? How did you handle the academic load? So all of that's important.
Yeah, I would say along with that, if you have concerns, I would ask that question.
Yes.
This is a rule of thumb. Please understand this is a rule of thumb. I would say most groups minimum is probably around a 2.5. Right. That would be the bare minimum. Some groups, I know their GPA requirements go all the way up to a 3.3. It varies by campus. It varies by organization. So I would ask those questions when you get there for your campus. But as Kathy, I can't emphasize enough, grades are important. Grades are very important. Mm-hmm. You know, we are academics, and success academically is a basic tenet of our organizations. And so doing well is important. Obviously, you've done well so far. You've gotten yourself into college. So good for you. You're in that process now. You just got to keep it up.
And one of the positive things, just to follow up with that, is that, you know, sororities do have, their overall GPA is higher than the average student. So, you know, we take pride in that and knowing that, our women succeed academically. So that's a great thing. And again, Julie stressed that already, but, you know, just check with your college Panhellenic. They'll let you know if there's any concerns, because I know that first semester, especially for the deferred recruitments coming out from high school, and sometimes your first semester GPA is a lot lower than your high school, and sometimes it's higher. So, but you know, if you have any concerns, just you know, talk to us. You know, talk to your college Panhellenic, and they're there to help you and guide you.
Okay, our next question or questions are about bids. We have questions about if you receive a bid but you don't feel like you fit into that place, or if you don't feel like that was the right place for you. What if you do not receive a bid, and how often does that happen? How often do women not receive bids or do?
Okay, those are all really good questions. When you go to your orientation session for recruitment, they will explain this in far more detail than we've got time, because we could spend an hour just talking about this right now. So they will explain that process for you. As I said, when you go through recruitment, you kind of continue to pare down your choices. And so when you get to the very end, they will ask you to sign what we call a membership recruitment acceptance binding agreement, which is a lot of words that mean nothing to you today. But on that card will indicate your willingness to accept a bid from which groups you list on your card. And so if you're unsure or don't think you're going to fit in, I will tell you this right now, do not list the group if you don't think that you're going to be comfortable receiving a bid there. And again, they will explain this far more to you in detail. Women that go through the recruitment process and complete the process all the way through will find a home. You will find it, and you will be placed someplace in the recruitment process. It is not very common that a woman does not, receive a bid if she's gone through the process. That's very, if she's done what she's supposed to do, that is not uncommon. If she chooses to limit her options or her choices, the chances for her not receiving a bid increase. And again, they will talk more about that for you, when you get to the recruitment process. So if you go through the process, I would encourage you to keep an open mind. And again, you may come from a place where you think, oh, this is the group I have to be in. And then when you get to campus going, I think I like this other group more. Really important for you to keep an open mind. And again, what a group that people from your high school may have pledged a group on one campus, it may be entirely different or different kind of feel and look on the campus you may be going to. So go through the process, keep an open mind, complete the process. And again, when you get to that point where you're signing this card, your recruitment counselor and the recruitment staff will talk a lot about it, what you need to do or what you should or should not do. So they'll provide you some proper guidance and counseling at that time. But it's not unusual. I mean, it's rare that a woman, you complete the process, that you do not get a bid if you have done what's been asked of you. That just rarely, if ever, happens. Did I answer all three? There were three questions there. Did I answer all of them, Caitlin?
Whoop, I'm so sorry. Can you say that again?
Hello?
Okay, yeah, I think
did I answer all three of them there?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to ask.
Please listen in the orientation session.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Julie.
I would say the orientation session and your recruitment counselor can answer those questions more specifically for your campus.
Absolutely right. We're going to answer one more question. If you are still on and waiting for your question to be answered, please note that we could not get to them all today, but we will try to reach out to you as a follow-up to get your question answered from a sorority woman. And if you weren't able to share your question today, you're welcome to go to TheSororityLife.com and ask a sorority woman from that feature from our website. So we'll make sure we try to address those privately if we aren't able to answer your question here today. Our last question today is going to be about colonization or a new chapter opening in a campus. We had a woman ask about there's a new chapter opening in her campus, and she's wondering what the difference is between joining a sorority that is already on campus and joining a new colonizing or a new extending sorority.
Well, that's a good question, too. Kathy, I'll start, and you can finish on this one because Kathy and I both have done extension work for our organizations. You know, I think it's important to understand a new group is a new group, and so if you join an existing group, they're already established, and they may have their ways and traditions of doing things. A new group is somebody new coming to campus, although they will be very much and look very much and feel very much like the other groups on your campus. It's just that it's a new experience, and so that's kind of a challenge that goes along with that. You may join a chapter that's already established with 100 people in it, or you may go and form a new group that takes 100 people off the street and say, okay, we're going to put you all together in this room, and you're going to learn to know each other's names and learn everything about our organization and move forward. I'd say the positive parts of a colonization is there's a chance for instant leadership. You know, you can be president of the chapter when you're a freshman. That doesn't happen so much with an established chapter. It can happen, but not so much. So do you want to be a part of something that's kind of part of the system already, or does the part of being something new excite you and want to be part of creating traditions and saying that, yep, I was part of the first group, we were the charter members, and, you know, we're going to start our group from there on. So it's a similar experience, yet a very different experience. It can be very exciting and fun. It will take a little bit more work, I would say, because, you know, you're not only learning about the organization, but you're also getting to learn one another as well. So everybody's a new member, but it's a lot of fun and a lot of opportunities that exist for that. I don't know, Kathy, would you add anything to that?
No, I think that, Julie, you're spot on in that it is a great place if you have strong leadership skills and feel that you can offer immediate leadership to a newly established group. It is very exciting. You get to be part of the ground floor of setting the traditions and starting some of the programs that this new chapter will have at that campus. So there are pros and cons to it. It is a little chaotic in the beginning because you're, again, as Julie said, you're all new members. But it is a positive, it can be very positive experience for those women who choose to want to be part of it, of the sorority system, but who want a different type of experience from starting from the ground up. Remember, the national organization is already established, so really you're starting the traditions of that local chapter, how it's going to be, and that you're going to help found the chapter at that campus. So that's unique, you know, in itself. So it can be a great experience for those who choose to want to do that. If you have, as you said, you had a new campus, you're going to have a new group starting on your campus, you'll learn a lot more about that than Julie and I can cover. You'll learn about that process when you go through your recruitment orientation. They'll talk about that new group and how they're going to do their colonizing at that campus. So that's a good opportunity too. So keep an open mind, just like Julie and I have said the whole time. Keep an open mind, be yourself, and that may be an additional opportunity for you to be part of the sorority system.
It doesn't happen very often, so it's kind of cool that it's happening on your campus. That's really neat that they're talking about it. So, you know, something to definitely check out.
Okay, well then I think we're going to wrap it up for the day. Thank you so much for everyone who was able to attend. And again, we apologize if we weren't able to answer your question, but you can look forward to hearing from the Sorority Life very soon with a response. So thank you also to Julie and Kathy for taking some time today to educate everyone here about recruitment. And we hope everyone has a great day and an even more awesome recruitment experience.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your time and your interest.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Good luck.
We said at the same time.